Okay. Fallout 4 in 2021. Almost 6 years since the game has come out. It's crazy to think about it. It's already been that long. Anyway, introductions. A lot of you already know who I am. I'm Forrest. I run the YouTube channel Retro or Die. And I do a lot of game reviews on that channel. Mostly retro video games and horror movies. And horror video games mostly. But I love the Fallout franchise. Fallout 4 was one of my most anticipated games of 2015. And one of my most anticipated games since playing Fallout 3. I loved New Vegas. And I still play New Vegas and Fallout 3 pretty much every year. I can't tell you on hand how many hours probably equate into months that I've probably put into Fallout New Vegas, or just the Fallout universe in general when it comes to games. Now, if you're familiar with my channel, familiar with my game reviews, I did a game review 5 years ago on Fallout 4, and it was a disappointment to me. At the time, I rated it a 7 out of 10. Looking back on it now, it probably deserved more of a 6 out of 10, if I'm being honest, because of how lackluster and boring the story was, which, if you're a Fallout player before Fallout 4, that's a big problem, to not have a good story and a bland dialogue tree system in a game, and also stripping away all the RPG elements in the game when it came to weapon degradation, your relationship status with different settlements, and the karma system, which was kind of wonky in Fallout 4 or Fallout 3, but in New Vegas they improved that. Without me rehashing everything about Fallout 4, I disliked it as a Fallout game. Was it a bad game? No. I played all the different faction endings. Played all the way through the game multiple times. It never got any better. The endings, that's the biggest thing also, is the endings. If you played Fallout 3 and you played Fallout New Vegas, you know that when you beat the game, there's no ending. It's just the same little dialogue that's read at every Fallout game. War never changes. That's it. All the choices you made, who you sided with, the outcome of the Commonwealth, none of it matters. Because of those reasons, I refuse to play or even give the DLCs for Fallout 4 a chance. I have Nuka World, and I had the Mechanist one, and Far Harbor, and I just never gave them a chance because I was just so done at that point. And what this video is obviously about is me maybe admitting that I might have judged the DLC a little too prematurely at the time, which is a shame, because I played Far Harbor finally for my very first time, and wow, what a good DLC. Far Harbor, to me, was really well done. That was the kind of Fallout gameplay that I wanted. It told a coherent story. It had me entertained throughout the thing. Of course, it doesn't forgive all the stuff that they've stripped out of Fallout. I'll be clear on that. It does not. Bethesda is not forgiven for that, for making Fallout Call of Duty Fallout. Modern Warfare Fallout Duty. But what it made up for was in the story department. Far Harbor had me hooked the entire time as far as the story was. I had so much fun playing Far Harbor. Now, I know a lot of you, if you clicked on this because you're a Fallout fan, especially newer ones, you're probably thinking, well, you're a fucking idiot. Like, of course Far Harbor was good. Fallout 4 was good. We obviously see differently, and if you don't like my opinion, you can just leave. But, man, Far Harbor was what I kind of expected, which I had no reason to believe that Fallout 4 was going to be a shell of what 3 in New Vegas was. But Far Harbor, as far as the story department, was what I was expecting Fallout 4 to be. Not as far as, like, the quests, obviously, but just how well written and how much more thought out and fleshed out it felt like. And the map was pretty damn big, I gotta say, for Far Harbor. Now, man, having a synth refuge nestled in like a Point Lookout type of place. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Point Lookout is the DLC quest in Fallout 3. Well, I thought this was going to be a ripoff of Point Lookout when I first played it. It was just going to be like a cheaper knockoff version of that. And it wasn't. It wasn't. Just because it took place on an island, it wasn't like Point Lookout at all. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Point Lookout a lot more than Far Harbor, but Far Harbor's story I thought was actually pretty damn good. A synth refuge on a fucking island where you have regular people and the children of Adam all kind of fighting for their position on this island. And this island also holds this mysterious fog that has been plaguing the island with radiation, creating new monsters, new creatures that haven't been seen in Fallout before up until 4. And man, this DLC, if you weren't ready to play this, like if you are like, well, like you could possibly do in Fallout 3, if you knew what you were doing, you could take on a DLC quest with a level 1 character if you knew how to play the game. But this is really a challenging DLC for a beginning character. I had fun. I had fun just because not only was it challenging, because Fallout 4, in my opinion, if you saw my review, I said was way too fucking easy. Way too fucking easy. And way too much hand-holding went on in the main vanilla game of Fallout 4. I mean, look at Fallout 4. The first hour of the game, you're given access to power armor, a minigun, and you kill a Deathclaw in the first hour of the game. If you don't see the problem in that, then you're a new Fallout player and you've never experienced what facing a Deathclaw should be. Anyway, Far Harbor, wow, it was so much more than I thought it was going to be. And maybe I'm just so blown away because my expectations were really low. My expectations were really low, and I was jonesing for a Fallout game. I was playing Fallout 3 and just having a good time, but I've literally played Fallout 3 so many goddamn times over the years since it's been released that I've discovered everything there is to do. I know how to be the best and the worst character in Fallout 3. Same thing with New Vegas. So I was like, you know what, fuck it. I'm gonna finally give the DLCs an opportunity because of how bored I was at that moment. And I was not disappointed, which is weird. I thought I was probably going to get bored maybe in the first couple hours and put it down and just forget the whole idea of even trying the other DLC quests. But since picking up Far Harbor, I did not stop playing it, which was very weird considering in Fallout 4 how bored I got within the first 20 hours of the game. I was like, and predicted the ending immediately. With Far Harbor, I didn't know who to trust or who to go with. And that is exactly what I wanted from Fallout 4. You don't know who to trust. The fact that the Synth Refuge, without me spoiling it, or it doesn't matter, I could spoil it, but I'm not gonna. The Synth Refuge could be hiding secrets and hiring you to go out and do things that have alternative motives that you don't know about. The Children of Adam, I've never fucking liked. I've never liked the Children of Adam. Since playing Fallout 3, I always fucking hated the Children of Adam. They're psycho. They're psychopaths. They're just a step above raiders because they don't just go out and attack you right away. But the fact that they go out and expose themselves to ungodly amounts of radiation, and if someone dies because of it, it's very much like the Jim Jones cultish type people, where they're just going out there and drinking fucking irradiated water and worshiping dying if you get irradiated too badly. And people that take Rad-X are like, they look down upon those people. So I've always hated the fucking Children of Adam. But what I do like is how the Children of Adam weren't giant pussies like they were in Fallout 3, where they just worship a giant nuke in the middle of Megaton. But in Fallout 4, well, more in Far Harbor, but in Fallout 4, yeah, you can find Children of Adam cultists out in the Yellow Sea or Glowing Sea or whatever. Yellow Sea, the Glowing Sea, and yeah, they're more militarized, obviously. But in Far Harbor, they actually are wearing power armor. You actually get to talk to them a lot more, discover a lot more stuff about them, which you didn't before. So for me, that was a big plus, because even though I fucking hate the Children of Adam, it's always better and more fun for me to get to know all of the different groups in the Fallout universe on a personal level, if you can. Now, granted, I think the Far Harbor Children of Adam are way more dedicated and cult-like than I've ever seen the Children of Adam before, and way more militarized. They're wearing power armor. They have this giant base on a nuclear sub, carrying fucking radiated bombs that were going to be used in the war. It's crazy, and their cult leader is fucking crazy awesome. As much as I fucking hate them, I gotta admit, like, their cult leader was fucking cool. I like the cult leader guy in that. Far Harbor was also a lot of fun to explore. When you compare Far Harbor to Fallout 4, the Commonwealth was very, very recycled. Felt very repeated. You're going in, you're seeing the same buildings over and over and over and over again. And you're fighting what seems to be like the same kind of monsters over and over again. It's either raiders or it's super mutants. And if it's not super mutants, it's randomly some sort of pack of dogs. In Fallout 3, yeah, I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. In Fallout 3, you fight a lot of the same enemies also, but Fallout 3's story was way better, and it was a lot more fun to explore. There was a lot more variety and territory to go around in Fallout 3, except for the fucking subway stations, which I'm not ever going to say the fucking subway stations in Fallout 3 were a shining beacon of light. Don't get confused on that. The subway systems in Fallout 3 were way too fucking many. Way too fucking many. To nauseum at sometimes. Luckily, that's why I think I'll always say Fallout New Vegas is the perfect Fallout game. As far as like the Bethesda Fallout games, the Interplay, Black Isles, Fallout 1 and 2 are very good in their own way. Very fucking hard, but very good in their own way. I like their stories. I think probably the best out of all of the Fallout games is Fallout 1 and 2, because they are, I think, the most true to the source material of what Fallout universe should have been, with every faction and everything like that. So anyway, back to Far Harbor. This is like, I know it's kind of like drunken rant by some fucking guy in his office, but I mean, my phone keeps on fucking going off. Anyway, back to Far Harbor. Far Harbor is like, back to the exploring of Far Harbor. I didn't get bored exploring Far Harbor. In fact, I was going out of my way to try to explore the whole area and find what I could before I even started getting to the main campaign of the game. Before I even found Arcadia, which is the synth refuge, I had already explored probably like 50% of the map when it came to Far Harbor, which is huge. It's a big map for a DLC. And I wasn't bored at all. In fact, from beginning to end, I played Far Harbor for 3 days, pretty much for an interval of 5 to 6 hours a day until I beat it. That's a lot of hours for a DLC. That's almost on the level of a Fallout 3 DLC when it came to the pit or a Point Lookout. But for me, it was not on the same level as Fallout 3's DLCs, because I just feel like everything in Fallout 3 was written better. Especially it's just the dialogue tree system. The dialogue tree system just needs a lot of work. It really should be not the same if they come out with another Fallout game. If they come out with Fallout 5 or Fallout New Vegas 2, which will never happen, don't fucking do the same thing with the dialogue tree system. It fucking sucked. It sucks. Especially when your character doesn't say exactly what the fuck you chose. That's stupid. Don't do that. But man, I feel like the funny thing is, I thought after all these years I'd be done with Fallout 4 and done talking about it. And man, I because I felt so wrong about this, and I can admit when I'm wrong about something in a video game, at least by comments that I made in a past video, this DLC was really damn good. Now, I can make this a part 2, which I probably will make it a part 2. No, fuck it, I'm not making it a part 2. It's just going to be a really long video. We're going on 20 minutes. No, fuck it, we'll do a part 2. Part 2 will be all about me talking about the Mechanist DLC. The Mechanist DLC was find out in part 2. And then when I do finish Nuka World, I'll let you know. I just started Nuka World, like literally just started it. I just got through the little gauntlet part of Nuka World. So give me time. Probably next week there'll be another video of me talking about Nuka World. The only thing I was a little disappointed by in Far Harbor was the newer monsters, the newer creatures, the gulpers and the and angels or angelics or whatever they were called. The new creatures, they were very far and few between in the map. Mostly you're running into ghouls. A lot of fucking ghouls. Another thing you come across a lot, which is expected, is mirelurks. You'd expect Mirelurks on an island, but god damn, they couldn't have done more variations of Mirelurks. You know what I mean? Like, you're fighting. It seems like you're fighting the same kind of Mirelurks throughout the whole DLC. I wanted more of the gulpers and more of the like mutated. I forget what it's called, but if you played the DLC, you know what Shipwreck was. Shipwreck was like that freaking armored, almost looking like a praying mantis, half Mirelurk mixture monster. You know what I mean? It was like half and half of those things, and it was huge and very armored, very hard to kill. Shipwreck fucking was insane. I'll talk about Shipwreck in a second, but that's what I mean. I want more monster variation. If there's going to be creatures and monsters in DLCs, and if you're going to throw in regular monsters, like a lot of ghouls, a lot of Mirelurks and shit, like, have them varied. Like, variation. Variation is key. Otherwise, I feel like I'm just doing the same shit I was doing in the Commonwealth. So that part wasn't fun. But as far as the story stuff was, I had a lot of fun doing that. Everything that you do for Far Harbor, the actual Far Harbor, to help them build back up and try to make their settlement as secure as possible with the Mariner and everything like that, or the Harbinger, was fucking awesome. I loved all of that. The part at the end especially, spoilers, the part at the end especially of the Mariner stuff, or I mean the Mariner, why did I keep calling the Mariner? The Harbinger stuff, at the very end, when you go to fight the Red Death, that is what you're looking for when it comes to a Fallout game. The Harbinger stuff at the very end was comedy gold. It is quest gold. The fact that they build up the very last quest for the Harbinger, the Red Death, and you go to fight the Red Death. She's telling you to prepare all your weapons. Go make sure you stock up on missiles and mini nukes, and people around town are saying like, oh, you're fucking crazy, you're gonna go fight the Red Death. Spoilers, even though the DLC's been out, the Red Death ends up turning to be a freaking level 1 Mirelurk with red glowing eyes. The wrecker of ships. The legend about Far Harbor that kills fishermen and travelers alike ends up just being a level 1 Mirelurk that has red glowing eyes. That I killed in one shot with a Magnum. That's it. And I mean, the dialogue between the characters is gold. The fact that they build up the whole mythology about the Red Death is gold, and it turns out that it's just like the silliest non-payoff payoff in a deal, in a quest. And that is the stuff that's missing, very, very much lacking in Fallout 4. Those kind of quests that make you laugh, or the quests that make you like do all this kind of like detective work, or feeling like you need to prep yourself really hard, and you get to the end and you're like, this was it? Like, what? And it has an actual payoff because of how funny it is, or because of how interesting it is, or whatever. Not like how Fallout 4 vanilla is, where everything is basically destiny, and you need to be looking for a legendary loot, or legendary gun, or legendary armor, or a legendary Mirelurk, blah blah blah. You know what I mean? The gold is within the writing. So I don't know what team worked on Far Harbor. Far Harbor was just really well done compared to vanilla Fallout 4. And like I said, I played all of the different faction quests in Fallout 4. Granted, I give credit to that the Brotherhood of Steel were more big pieces of shit and assholes in Fallout 4, like they should be compared to Fallout 3. But that could be a completely different video on its own, me talking about the difference between Fallout 3's Brotherhood of Steel to the real Brotherhood of Steel and the Outcasts. That could be something completely differently talked about. Otherwise, this video would go on for hours and hours and hours and hours. No one wants that. Especially people that are probably watching this and they're like, Fallout 4 is the greatest fucking game ever. Fuck you. They didn't even make it this far. Those kind of people. So whatever. The whole point of Far Harbor is you're trying to bring peace to Far Harbor. These three factions are fighting on the island. The Children of Adam, who I hate. Arcadia, which is the refuge for synths, which I got a really strange feeling. That I never had. My entire playthrough for Fallout 4. The strange feeling waved over me and my character, or me playing my character in the game. You know what I'm talking about. When the leader of the synth refuge, I forget his name already, Devin or something like that, I don't know, it's probably completely wrong, asks my character if I'm a synth. And how do I know that I'm not a synth? And it gets on this whole philosophy aspect and psychological aspect on how we as humans just accept memories for what they are. And for all we know, our memories could not be what we think they are. And that, for a second, really tripped me out. Not only because I was like, wow, that's fucking profound in Fallout 4, but that's profound in general. That's like one of those conversations you have late with your friends after you've been drinking a ton of beers or whatever, and those kind of weird questions come up. But that was something that I was not prepared for, and knew that this DLC was already 100 times more powerful in the story department than Fallout 4 was, because I never had one moment like that during the main campaign of 4. I fucking predicted the ending of Fallout 4 within the first 2 hours, 3 hours of me playing the game, about stupid Sean being father of the Institute. Like, anyone that's seen any kind of sci-fi movie where it comes to a post-apocalyptic stuff or people being frozen in a fucking chamber, I mean, that shit's been done over and over and over again. But that whole concept was really like, whoa, that's huge in a Fallout game and in life. So, huge kudos for that. Which brings me to the Synth Refuge. And the whole reason why you're sent there is because you're looking for a lost daughter, right? It starts out as a detective quest with Nick Valentine. And you go to this island, and the Synth Refuge, like, the daughter thinks she's a synth, but you don't know if she's a synth, and I don't really know how she knows she's a synth. She doesn't. And when you get to the refuge, there are a ton of people there. A ton. Anywhere from traders to random just settler-looking people to a scientist and a doctor, and they're all synths, or they all claim to be that they are. And for me, I question how many of them were actually synths, because I only played through the DLC once. I'm sure there's people like Oxhorn. Everyone knows who Oxhorn is. If you don't, he's a huge Fallout channel. I watch that sometimes in the background when I'm doing dishes and cleaning the house, just repeating stories that I already know over and over again from Fallout. But shameless plug for him, I guess. I don't know why I even said that, but anyway, yeah, I didn't know if any of these people were actually synths, or this one synth that's actually running the show of this refuge is just manipulating all these people to think that they are, because their intelligence level is just really low. I could see it. It's very possible. And the only way you're gonna know, if you're like me and you don't play Fallout games just to see every ending in one run, right? Like for me, when I play a Fallout game or a DLC quest, I'll play it over again as a completely different character, as a bad character or a good character. Go with one faction or another faction, you know what I mean? So maybe my next time I'll side completely with Children of Adam just to see what the fuck happens. But that's just how I play. So I don't know if those people were synths or not. You question a lot of things because the main synth running things is very shady. He's shady in a lot of different ways, especially because he hides a lot of things about his memories and things like that. Anyway, all this stuff I'm talking about that I'm so excited and like uplifted because I've been playing that DLC quest, I never once felt this much like joy and fun playing vanilla Fallout 4. So I feel like I had to come on and make a video stating like how much like Far Harbor was good, and I spoke wrongly about Far Harbor's DLC in my video I made about not the whole video, but when I said that Far Harbor was just a cheap knockoff of Point Lookout. I went off of that on the trailer alone when I saw the Far Harbor trailer by itself. So that was my bad, my fuck up, and look how many years later and I'm fucking wrong. Like, I'm telling myself that I was wrong and admitting that I was wrong. And I have no problem admitting that either. I mean, I had fun. And when I had fun playing something in Fallout 4, because I love Fallout, I can't state it enough how much I love the fucking game. I got this shirt as a gift back when Fallout 4 was just coming out. That's how much I love the Fallout games and the Fallout franchise. It's not a series I ever thought I would say bad things about. And now, playing this, like I said, I just am admitting I'm wrong. I want to express to you how much fun I had in that DLC. If you've never bought it or never played it, and I think you should. Like I said, and this doesn't go for everything DLC related. I played the Mechanist DLC right after I got back from Far Harbor, and the Mechanist stuff was lame. Really lame, actually. So yeah, if you never bought the Far Harbor DLC, get it. If you love Fallout the franchise and you loved it from 3 and New Vegas and you went back and played Fallout 1 and 2, I would say give this one a chance. Give Far Harbor a chance. Like I said, I can't make comments yet on Nuka World. I just started it. To wrap up Far Harbor, if I were to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd probably rate it a solid 8. Solid 8. I had a lot of fun with it, like I said. Explored all of it. I wish there was more monster and creature variation. I like that there was more backstory on the Children of Adam, and there was more actual meat on the story's bones this time than there was in all of the vanilla Fallout 4 story. So with that being said, if you never played it, get it, and if you have played it, I'd love to know what your thoughts were on it and who you decided to join with, what faction you went with, or just your overall thoughts on Far Harbor. I know this was incredibly long video, incredibly probably just drawn out, probably boring, but I'm sorry, I had to make the video. So yeah, so continue on to part 2 if you want to hear what I thought about the whole Mechanist DLC. And this is Forrest. You want to check out my game reviews, check out my main channel, Retro or Die, and I'll see you on the next one. Part 2, The Mechanist.